Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to show you how to make triplet, bounce, loops, Lil Baby, Gunna, those types of people. Today, let's get straight into it. So, we're in the project here at 122 BPM, and I started off with the piano today, as I usually do. And the key, obviously, for triplet bounce loops is 1/3 beat grid. Let's break down how I made this pattern. So we started in C minor, and this little pattern here is a C minor triad with the F added in here. So it goes from the 5th to the root to the 4th to the root to the 3rd to the root again. And this is a little pattern that pretty much is duplicated every 2 beats. The only variation is that the D sharp and this final root note, these 2 notes here, are not carried over every single time. So this is just a basic structure that's copied over. And for the final beat, I've added in the D sharp again for a little bit of variation. Obviously, we're playing the root note a couple of octaves below to give it a little bit more rhythm as well and some low end. Now that we've got this very basic structure, what I did is I just copied it over and went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semitones, or to the 5th, which is actually 7 semitones up, transposed down an octave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the 5th. Transposed down an octave is to the 5th in the scale. And 1/5 chord progressions, very powerful and sound very good, obviously. And on top of this bass piano, we've got a top melody that just plays the 5th. Triplet bounces down to the D, which is the 3rd of this chord. And then we go up to the 4th. So remember, we use a lot of the notes from the chord. That's a very safe and easy way to make a melody that sounds good with the chords that you're playing. For the second chord, this section, we've got C, which is actually the root of the scale we're in. And it's the 4th of this chord. Using these semitones again to have a dark sound. Then back down to the root to resolve the melody after 4 bars. And this whole thing is just copied over to the second half. Exactly the same, except I added some octaves for these notes, and these notes to give them a little bit more emphasis. Now that we've broke that down, this is what it sounds like. Super fire. For effects, super basic. Just put a high pass filter with a roll off on the low end, just to cut out the sub frequencies and any muddiness. So you can make room for the 808 or the bass that's going to go in the final beat. Next, I added this trap Nexus pluck. It's from the Pyroman XP bank in Nexus. This is just following the top line of the piano from the previous pattern. And what this is just duplicated down an octave. The exact same. And you'll see we only have 3 notes that are different. This D, I felt gave it a little bit more tension, a little bit more flavor in the beginning, just to differentiate it slightly from the piano and to sort of drag the listener's attention subconsciously away from the piano so that you could sort of realize that there was another layer being added. And then again, these octaves at the end to give it a bit more emphasis on those notes in specific. Now, along with the piano, this is what that sounds like. It's very much just tucked in the back. I panned it to the left and increased the stereo separation here to give it a bit more width and really push it into the background. Next, I opened up another instance of Nexus. This time we're in the Electro Dreams bank and I've used this synth sound called Square Dance. This looks a little bit sporadic as well, except it's really quite simple. These notes here that are slightly longer are the exact same notes from the piano that are playing the chords. This is just a C minor chord transposed an octave, excluding these notes here. And then you'll see this down here, if you transpose that down, is the G chord, which is the 5th, as I spoke about before. All I did was just transpose the root notes up an octave. And once again, these notes in between are following the main melody of the piano. So most of the time, what I've done here is just gotten a really basic, decent idea, and I've built upon it with different sounds with very slight variations so that it doesn't sound the exact same at all times. And that's basically all you need to do to get good sounding, full, interesting loops. For the final sound, I opened up Arcade. I'm using the Holy Divine Distant Voices bank. I think you'd call it a bank. I've transposed everything down an octave to get it down in the low registers, and I've turned off all the internal parameters because it made it a little bit too wet and muddy. But this is the pattern that this is playing. I thought that was super fire. And for effects, I've got a little altopoid transposing everything down another full octave, but I've got the mix level at about 20%. So you've got a little bit of the higher and the super low octave on top of each other to give it a bit more width. I've got this EQ to cut out the super low frequencies to make sure it won't clash with any sub, and cutting out the highs of the highs. I've got a compressor, and this was mainly to even out the volume of the sample and to bring the whole level up, make it a little bit louder. I've got decapitator, giving it a little bit of fuzz, a little bit of crunch. I think it adds a nice flavor. Echo boy, we've just got quarter note echo here, fairly standard stuff. And finally, I've got this EQ cutting out the lows again, and I've got a dip at about 300 hertz here just to take out a little bit of the muddiness. And yeah, that's it. That's all the sounds. Something I didn't do that I'll probably put on the whole sample when I lay the drums down, or if you want to when I send this loop out in a pack, is just slap Slymatics Origin on it with a little bit of vinyl, a little bit of movement, a little bit of chorus, a little bit of saturation. Make it sound a little bit older, a little bit more dated. But yeah, I rendered it out and then I pitched it down 300 semitones, and this is what the final sample sounds like. There you go. That's the final loop. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content, hit the bell notification to be notified next time I post a video. If you learned something, let me know in the comments section. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, get some sleep, drink some water. And yeah, until next time, I love you.